everyone, welcome to our final webinar of 2023. I can't believe that we're at our last one. Where has the year gone? I'm Rio, Head of Customer Experience at Ticket Tailor, and I'm sure you all know who I'm here with Jonny, our CEO.
Hi, great to be here. Thank you for hosting this, Rio. Yeah, really looking forward to this.
Yeah, I'm very excited as well. Just a bit of housekeeping before we start. There have been a lot of questions submitted in advance, so thank you very much for submitting those. We're going to try and answer as many as we can live, but if we might not have a chance to get round to all of them, so sorry if you don't recognise your question being answered. We will also follow up with a few questions via email, so keep an eye on your inbox, particularly if you asked a question specifically about how to do something on Ticket Tailor, or if there's like a specific feature that you'd like to see. We'll try and get back to you via email in the next couple of days, so keep an eye out for that. And obviously this will be recorded like all of our other webinars. If you want to catch up on any of the webinars we've run throughout the year, they're all on our YouTube channel, so you can check them out there. Before we start though, I did want to start with a question for our live audience, so everyone that's watching. So we've taken a look at all the questions. I've taken a look at all the questions and grouped them into themes. So we want to make this webinar really about what you want to hear the most. So I've just launched a poll. So if you can vote on which kind of questions you want to hear first, and we'll start with those to make it most interesting for you. So we've got some general questions about Ticket Tailor. We've got future ticketing trends and predictions, marketing and sales tips, questions about that sort of thing, and lots of questions about feature updates and Ticket Tailor new stuff for 2024. So little teasers that we can give you there. Wow, it's really interesting. The votes are not going the way that I thought they would go at all. We're getting a load of votes in there for sneaky feature updates, and pretty split between the other questions. Oh, really split now, getting even harder. I'll give like another couple of minutes to vote, and then I think we have a clear winner. Cool. I'm going to end that poll. So the winner is definitely feature updates and new Ticket Tailor stuff for 2024. That's what we're all interested in. So we'll start straight away with those questions. So great one to start off with, actually, Jonny. Could we have a general hint about things that we want to plan and build in 2024? So next year, what can our users expect to see changes and updates on the platform?
Yeah, sure. So we plan around 3 to 6 months ahead. So we've got a pretty good idea of what we're building, well, right now, which will be stuff that will be launched probably next quarter, and then also what we will start building in January next year as well, which will launch later in the year. So a few things that we're already planning or working on are things like point of sale for on-the-door sales. So this is something that a lot of people ask for, being able to sell tickets at the door of the event and trying to make that as easy as possible. The other thing, another area is self-serve as well for ticket buyers. So the admin overhead of managing things like refunds or rescheduling or cancelling orders or changing a name is a big burden on all of our customers who are already very busy. So yeah, one of the things we're working on as well is a self-service area for ticket buyers to be able to manage their own orders based on what settings you set up. Yeah, we're working on integrations with some third-party software to TBC, which ones exactly we're going to integrate with, but we're very much going to be launching some integrations with some third-party tools, which is really cool. Partial refunds as well, something that we know is a real pain point for a lot of people right now, is being able to do a refund for an order, whether it's refunding one ticket out of many on an order, or whether it's doing a refund which is not the entire value of the order as well. So yeah, partial refunds is something as well that we're very much working on. Apple and Google Wallet integration. This is really exciting. So being able to save ticket buyers being able to save their tickets inside Apple Wallet or Google Wallet, and improved reporting as well. Another thing that, again, very popular and much needed is people being able to get better insight from all the data that's on the platform. So they're the things that we're planning at the moment, and also already started working on. So yeah, really lots of exciting things to come.
Definitely super exciting. There's some massive things that you named there. I think what leads in nicely is another question that we had, which is, what is the feature that we currently don't have that you want to have the most? And could you give an indication of if and when you're going to build it? Hopefully it was on that list you shared previously.
Yeah, making assurances around around releasing software is always a tricky thing to do, just because it's very unpredictable. But we're feeling fairly confident that we'll have partial refunds live in Q1, and I think this is a big time saver for a lot of people. We've seen a lot of people come over from Eventbrite recently, and we know it's the feature that Eventbrite have, is being able to do partial refunds, and so we want to make sure that that's something as well we can live up to. So that's something that I think is going to be really powerful and save people a lot of time. And then self-serve as well. I think self-serve again would be another one which would just be really looking forward to having that again, to just save people time. It'd be really cool.
Yeah, definitely. I think as well, like both of those features that you mentioned, it's like really about flexibility. We've seen loads of loads of event organizers offer a bit more flexibility, particularly since lockdown. That's a trend that doesn't seem to be going away. So those features should be really helpful in, helping people put on the events they want to go to, and giving your ticket buyers like peace of mind as well.
Yeah.
Another question we had come in from around roadmap was from, I think, obviously a charity user, because they've asked, please, can you reduce your costs for charities? Or do we have any plans about that coming up?
Yeah, so we're very much committed to making our services low cost as possible, generally across the board. And charities and not-for-profits, we want to be as affordable as possible. One of the things we've just done actually is our kind of trends for the year, and some of the things we've identified is like our donations tool is hugely popular. I think £3.24 million was raised through our donations tool, and that's something that we don't charge for. We don't charge for use of that tool, which is really cool, because it means that more money's going towards those causes. So staying free on that donation side is something we absolutely want to do. And yeah, we want to reduce our cost for charities. We're thinking about our pricing at the moment, and we want to have a bigger discount available for charities. So that's something that we're working on, and I hope to have something in place by the new year as well. So
another thing that I'm really excited about, I do love seeing all of the great charity events that we have going through the platform. It's really inspiring. And yeah, talking about seeing events, we've had a few questions come in around whether Ticket Tailor will have a community page or a discovery page where all the events are listed. I know a lot of other ticketing platforms do that.
Yeah, we have heard this a lot, especially since we've seen a lot of people move over from competitors recently, where they have discovery community pages. The tricky thing that we've got is that we have such a broad mix of events, and it's tricky for us to create an authentic discovery website where people will come and find something that they want to do. But however, we know that it definitely helps people create links that are easy to share and help people find their events. So we're definitely thinking about how we can do this in a way that is actually really useful for people. We don't have any definite plans right now of what we're going to do, but it's something that's very much on our radar and something that we know is asked for a lot. So yeah, watch this space.
Yeah, excited to see how that develops. And I have one final question for our sort of roadmap and planning section of questions, which was about conditional tickets. So this is a really popular request that we often get through customer support, but someone asked it for this webinar as well. and they asked if there's any plans to place a condition on a ticket. For example, you can't buy an adult ticket without, you can't buy a child ticket without adding an adult ticket to a basket first. So do we have any plans around this feature as well?
Yes, great question. Yes, we do. We've got something in the works, actually. I didn't mention it earlier, but we've got something in the works around this. This is in progress and something we will have available at some point in Q1 of next year. So yeah, should be launched in January or February. The ability to be able to set those conditions between different ticket types. So yeah, excited about that one.
Also, yeah, that's a really popular request.
Yeah,
thank you for those
sure.
answers, Jonny. Moving on, I think we'll skip to future trends. Since we've been thinking about future ticket tailor things, I thought it would be nice to slide into the questions about future ticketing trends in general. So we had a really nice question come in, which just kind of said, what is top of the mind for event planners when organising their events at the moment?
Right, okay. Yeah, so things that we're hearing when I'm not planning events myself, but we hear a lot of stuff from our customers, and we understand a lot about the industry. But one of the biggest things we see is the cost. With the cost of living crisis, people cutting back on maybe going out or spending on events, then keeping costs low is absolutely critical. Also, still post-COVID comeback is still affecting some event organizers. So keeping costs low can really help people, help people create successful events. And then the other thing is, using AI to help with event planning. Sustainability is a huge thing that's top of mind for a lot of people. Those are the things that come to mind from that I'm aware of what event planners are talking about. Obviously, it kind of completely depends on which industry as well. But cost of living crisis seems to be one of the biggest things that is top of mind.
Yeah, definitely. Those sort of we've been seeing that across the board, and I think if anyone wants more ideas on trends, little plug for our recent plug. Oh, I can't even try and say plug and blog in one sentence. It's impossible. But we've done a blog post rounding up some event trends, which is a really interesting read. So if you want more information, head over to our blog. We had another great question come in for future trends, asking what event organizer can you learn the most from in 2023? So what's one thing that's been done that you've seen that's been done right and been amazing? And then is there anything you've seen on the platform that should maybe be avoided? It's a really interesting question.
That's a really interesting question. One thing that's been done right. So one thing that I think is amazing that we're seeing from a bunch of different customers is taking an idea and moving it around to different cities and even different countries. So taking something successful and running it and then moving on to another city, or even having them running kind of in multiple cities at the same time. I guess it's something we saw a lot with escape rooms happen a couple of years ago, where they became very popular very quickly and kind of exploded, and then every city has now got like 10 escape rooms. But the idea that an event doesn't have to happen just once in one place, it can happen in multiple places, either in parallel or in series. And so things like immersive theatre, art exhibitions, concerts, we've seen that happen where people are running them in multiple places. And then that means that, all that effort and work that's gone into creating that experience can be, you can get more value from it, and make more money from it, and then make even bigger events next time. So that's really cool. That's a really cool thing that we've seen. One wrong thing. We've heard news of festivals being cancelled or scaled back, and I think again comes back to the unpredictability of coming back after COVID with kind of big events that happen maybe annually, or where it's kind of, there's a lot of work up to it and then the event happens. And so the tricky thing there, I think, is that unpredictability and the I guess keeping a handle on those costs of growing an event that big is a tricky time, I guess, for that kind of thing with cost of living and predicting how successful sales are going to be in advance of creating an event like that. So that's something that, you know, we've heard news of festivals being cancelled and things like that. So that's something to be wary of.
Hopefully everyone watching is not going to be affected by those kind of things though, and you're all on the right track and ready to bring your events sort of
Absolutely. And obviously using a low-cost ticketing platform like Tailor means you're saving a lot of money in that area. So that's really cool.
Also, another big prediction that I was asked to put to you is, what do you think is the biggest trend coming to live events?
Biggest trend. So actually, sustainability is a huge trend we're seeing. We're hearing a lot about this, and we care about it a lot as well. In fact, we recently did a webinar on this earlier in the year, where we had a panel of sustainability experts. And it's becoming more and more important. More people care about it as event organizers, more attendees care about it. And, you know, I think we know that events do create a lot of impact on the planet. And so being mindful of this and creating events that are more planet conscious is something that, we're starting to hear a lot more about. Another trend, particularly live immersive things, is no phones. So not being able to take photographs, which is quite an interesting trend. Obviously, taking photographs at events is great for social media and things like that, but also actually, not being able to take photographs at events, depending on the experience, but can also enhance word of mouth as well, which is quite interesting, because you've gone and experienced something, you've actually been in the moment, and not being able to take your phone out and take a photo means that people are talking about it more and things like that. So I think that's a really interesting trend that we're starting to see as well, is this kind of like, no photographs, be in the moment kind of thing.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely excited to see if those predictions happen in 2024 and beyond. Just so that we have some time for other questions, I'm going to move on to another group of questions, which will be the questions we've had come in about sort of marketing and sales tips for events and that kind of thing. So we had a load of questions come in about sort of general tips on how to sell more tickets or how to promote your event really well on social media and those kind of trends. And obviously we see this every day. So what would you be able to share with our users on tips that we see that could help them sell more tickets?
Cool. Yeah, we recently did a webinar on this as well, actually. There's a webinar on YouTube that Rio ran, which was called Big Impact, Small Budget, Making the Most of Your Social Media Event Marketing. So that's, if you search for YouTube on that, there's a whole webinar on a lot of tips on how to make the most of your social media. So how to sell more tickets / sell on social media. So it kind of depends on your event. Obviously, it's going to be very different depending on what kind of event you're running. There's a number of ways of doing advertising across different platforms, using the platforms, obviously, that your audience are on. Visual platforms in particular can be super helpful, especially with engaging video. So if you have a very visual type of event, then visual platforms can be really effective, such as Instagram or TikTok, and experimenting with different types of content as well. So, if you're using video, then one key tip is to make the first 3 seconds really count, because that's when if they're not captured in that moment, they'll be scrolling on something else. Thinking about using promotions, so discounts and seasonal pricing, particularly if you have a recurring event or if you're running it over weekends and weekdays, having seasonal pricing there as well. And using your audience as well to help you sell more tickets. So yeah, getting the power of all the people who've been before or are going to the events to offer them incentives to bring more people to the event, or just share word of mouth just because it's great and it's better to have more people at an event. So yeah, they're the things that come to mind on selling more tickets. But that webinar that I mentioned will have a lot more insight than I've shared there.
And again, a plug for the blog, which I can say this time, there's absolutely tons of sort of marketing tips over there as well. So if you are ever wanting a bit of inspiration, I would recommend going and having a look at some of the things on there. We had another great question about marketing from someone who said they're just starting out. How do they create a buzz around their workshop to start selling tickets in the new year? So if there are any new event organisers watching, welcome. We love having you here. But how do you take that idea and grow it into, something that's selling really well?
I think that thing as well, like, don't underestimate word of mouth, that you kind of mentioned in the previous one. I think word of mouth is one of the most powerful ways that things can grow. Events are very human experiences, human experiences, and so the more you can delight people, the more that they're going to go and tell other people. And so I think that's a really important thing. Leave people with a lasting impression that they're then going to go and tell their friends, and then your events will grow. And I think taking a lot of trying to capture as much content from events as possible. So taking lots of photos, taking lots of videos, trying to get people at the events to write reviews as well of the event, and then you can just build up much more of a sales pitch for your event online as well with all that material. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, great tips there. And definitely, like, word of mouth is such a great way to spread your event, your event buzz. A similar kind of question from somebody else. They asked, what would be the best way to sort of consistently sell tickets for weekly events, and what would we suggest for building momentum? So I guess sort of like repeat custom here.
Repeat, yeah, right, okay. So memberships is obviously a classic one. So having a membership system, we have a memberships tool on Ticket Tailor where people can either buy for the whole season of the weekly events or get access to discounts or anything else like that. You could also do gift cards as well. So great for this time of year. Selling gift cards to things to get more audience coming to your event. Starting a mailing list. If you've got weekly events, then having a mailing list, I'd say, is really important. Collect emails and consent at the event, as well as during registration. So during registration, having an email opt-in, and then also at the event, having a place where people can sign up and get them on your mailing list as well. That's a super powerful tool for weekly events. And then again, don't forget about word of mouth. Provide a delightful experience for in your events, and people will keep coming back and they'll keep telling people. And I just think that's a very powerful way to grow.
Awesome. And our final question that I've pulled into this section is kind of about building a community for your events. So the question was specifically around any tips for using Ticket Tailor to get people to sign up to a newsletter or join a Facebook group or a LinkedIn group post sale. What would you recommend for people that want to foster that community with their ticket buyers?
Yeah, so newsletter, joining a group. So one thing is definitely that kind of collecting data on registration and asking for opt-in. That's a really easy way to get people added to your newsletter. Another thing you can do is on Ticket Tailor, you can redirect the page where people land after they purchase their tickets. And you could redirect them to a page on your own website that promotes whatever community we want them to join, whether it's a Facebook group or a newsletter, you can then kind of carry on that journey from that point on, so that yeah, you can make the most of that interaction. Also, you can customize the confirmation. Obviously, you can customize the email confirmation that they receive after purchase. So that's another opportunity to have links out to other groups or whatever else that it is that you want people to join. Yeah, we've done an integration with LinkedIn this year, which is quite cool, where when you purchase tickets and you have the event on LinkedIn as well, then it offers you the opportunity to kind of join the event community over on LinkedIn as well. If you're logged into LinkedIn, it'll pop up and say, do you want to join the event over on LinkedIn? And then obviously the conversation can carry on over on LinkedIn, which is really cool. So yeah, there are a bunch of ideas around that.
Thanks, Jonny. Yeah, I really like that LinkedIn integration, especially if you're sort of putting on a conference or a professional event. It's really useful for networking. And yeah, we've generally seen a lot of like community spaces be created outside of events. So that's definitely something that's really exciting to see everyone organising. We've got 5 minutes left. The time's flown by. So I'm going to skip to our final group of questions, which is more general questions about Ticket Tailor and about general questions overall, starting with, what is it that you love about events?
What I love about events?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I think what I love about events is just they're so real and they're so human. It's ever more important. Well, just feels ever more valuable to like go and have an experience that's not digital and real life. So for me, I go to business events quite a bit, and that's amazing because making new connections and meeting people is awesome. And then also go to a lot of music and art events as well. And so that is about I don't know, just resetting my perspective somehow. Going to see an amazing band and then feeling like, wow, that was a totally different experience to kind of hearing that music at home, or going to see some art and it just being so immersive that it just kind of changes that perspective. So I think it's about just that. You can't really replace it. There's not technology that can replace being in a space, whether that's with other people or with art or whatever. But it's that realness of it all.
Definitely agree, and I feel like most people watching will definitely agree with what you just said there as well. Another question that we had in about Ticket Tailor is, how did you get the idea for Ticket Tailor? How did you get the idea to create the platform?
So Ticket Tailor started back in 2010, a long time ago. So a very different landscape in terms of the internet. And I was a freelance web developer building platforms, building websites and systems for people. And one request I kept getting over and over was, can you build me a ticketing system? And I'd quote for it, and for a custom ticketing system. And more often than not, a custom ticketing system would be too expensive for the people that were asking. And so the idea was, well, how about I create a platform that can be resold as more of a much more affordable way. So it's like having your own ticketing system, but not the cost of a custom ticketing system. So that was where the idea came from. And then as well, I was also running an event at university. And when I was running this event, I didn't want to use a middleman. I didn't want a ticket agency to kind of stand in the middle between my event and the ticket buyers. So for that, I think I created a PayPal button and did some tech around that. Again, this was back in, I don't know, this must have been 2008, maybe something like that. And so I think that planted a bit of a seed as well of there's a better way to do to sell tickets online, basically. So that was where it all came from. And kind of grew much bigger than I ever thought.
I love that. Well, I think you've definitely proved that you've built a better way to sell tickets online, and hopefully we'll we've convinced everyone in this Ask Me Anything. That's actually the end, all we've got time for. But thank you for those of you that watched, and massive thank you for those that submitted a question. And yeah, most of all, thank you for Jonny for sharing your thoughts on this Wednesday afternoon.
Yeah.